Welcome back to another part of this F1 25 My Team Career Mode. This is part number 42 today for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 3. Last time out around Spa, an engine failure late on for Oscar Piastri secured us a second place driving as Tim Tramnitz, and it was a very welcomed P2 after, you've got to admit, a very turbulent previous two races where we drove as Ollie Bearman. We faced obviously a puncher and devastation at the British Grand Prix, and before that it was one of the most chaotic Austrian Grand Prix to still secure points, but literally everything that could have happened did happen in that Austria race. But off the back of that second place for Tramnitz, you can clearly see now, I think we've got to now admit that it's time to focus on Tramnitz being our guy for the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors, there's still a part to play for Ollie Bearman, especially now that Verstappen's won, Red Bull have won a race. So that's now Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes all getting race wins. Clearly, we're in that phase now where it seems very unlikely, to be honest, being very frank, that we get a race win again in the rest of this season. And so it's about damage limitation. You know, a second place like we got last episode, honestly, is unbelievable. Really amazing job to get that second place, to limit the damage to the chasing teams, because, you know, you've got Red Bull breaking 200 points. Ferrari were already there. You know, one or two more messy races like Silverstone, and it could be curtains. They could be right on us. So we need to be very careful, and we need to be trying to maximize everything we can for the rest of this season to bring this home, because it's not a foregone conclusion as we go into now the Italian Grand Prix, which is unfortunately a bit of a lottery sometimes with the slipstream. But we come to Monza back with our regular livery, although it's a little bit tweaked. I spoke to you guys about liking the vibe of having a more prominent front wing for duotone. You know, that's what the stealth livery was about. It was kind of a stealth slash duotone focus livery. And so we've gone back to the regular white fluoro yellow Volt livery, but we've also now got and brought across from the stealth livery the black front wings and the rear wing also as well. And so the duotone logo, the more prominent one, is there. And then also on the side pod, you'll notice we've mixed it up just a little bit. We've got Lupo Industries now. We unlocked a variant of that logo for the engine cover, and then we've also got just one extra secondary sponsor now on the side pod. And instead we're actually got the duotone lettering on the top of the side pod, as again trying to lean into maybe that story factor of duotone now wanting a little bit more prominence on the livery as we're getting into the crunch time phase of this team, maybe able, you know, to go for the championship and securing that championship in the last part of this season. So yeah, some changes all around the livery with certain logo variants. You know, a couple of new sponsors we've obviously collected with Lupo and Savant, I think it was, on the rear wing as well. So just a slight evolution, but it's the great thing about the the decat litter on this game is, just like in real life, you can very easily get that evolving livery with sponsors changing here and there, just as they do IRL from territory to territory. But yeah, we're back in the racing white colors that we had for most of the season. You know, the aarava Archer base colors, as it were, as we now focus now on what we can do in between the last race into the next one. Mostly with the activity timeline, of course, because there's not much going on in terms of R&D for us, at least, and HQ facilities. It's just a case of we're just spending and spending and spending. So the activity timeline is more about trying to get as much focus as we can on the drivers, because, you know, the AI teammate, we need, whoever that is going to be for each episode, we need them getting to their max potential as much as we can. And you see it's worked. It's worked really well in previous races where Tramnitz has been an AI, and he's got second place as an AI, which is amazing for a 72 rated driver. He really has kind of broken the matrix in a way this season, I feel, and just generally in the series so far. You know, such a low rated driver compared to the higher rated around him, and yet he's been performing as, you know, as an AI sometimes, just as if I'm driving driving as him. So it's been really great, and there's a big reason why he's leading the championship, and I can't really take all the credit for that. Half of that is just him as an AI driver has done that and put himself into that position. So as I said, off the back of that second place and with the way the table's looking, I think we've got to just kind of now firm that Behrman is just the secondary man. He's got to play backup, and he's also just going to be a team player for the Constructors' Championship more than anything. And the pressure is just going to ramp up more and more from our AI rivals, as now in the R&D chart, well, McLaren have made some serious upgrades, probably in a bid to try and keep Charles Leclerc at the team, because the reigning world champion, remember, has had a torrid time at McLaren since moving from Ferrari. And we've obviously spoken about maybe going for Leclerc, maybe going to sign him. If we were to win the championship, we would have the credentials to sign someone like Leclerc at that point, I feel. And so maybe McLaren, in retaliation to the rumours swirling around, they've, really forced through upgrades, because now they are technically the best team on paper, just ahead of Ferrari and with Red Bull there as well. So maybe if McLaren actually want to start performing, that's another team we have to worry about alongside the other three that have won races so far apart from ourselves. And then also underneath us on this comparison, look at Aston Martin Honda. They have creeped up. That's no mean feat. The gap from them to Williams, that's actually quite massive on the R&D chart. So the fact that they have done that so rapidly means they must have saved up quite a fair bit of R&D and just splurged it all going into the Italian Grand Prix. So now do we have to worry about, what is it, Lawson and Colapinto? I almost forgot the two drivers that were in Aston Martin, because they haven't really been anywhere, and none of them have, in those bottom kind of teams. But now we might have to worry about that, because this is the R&D chart before these upgrades show. Obviously, with this chart doesn't update until the race after, but what we will probably see at the start of next episode is a meteoric rise for Aston Martin, and then obviously the same thing for McLaren. So it's just going to be more and more difficult to try and emulate a race like Spa, where we got a second place, but we are going to step back into the shoes of Tim Tramnitz, as we did 2 races in a row with Ollie Behrman. So it's only fair that we now repay it by doing 2 races in a row with Tim Tramnitz. And, Behrman 82 rated still, 98 focused despite some difficult races. I gotta hope that will still mean something for him scoring well, and then obviously we'll try and maximize everything we can in Tim's shoes. Let's go to the race weekend.
For over a century, the Temple of Speed has all come down to moments like this. Driver versus the stopwatch to set the grid for the Grand Prix. It is qualifying at Monza.
Well, as we go into qualifying here at the Temple of Speed, we won't be going anywhere fast. Guys, I've had a howler. I've had an absolute howler. Obviously, I've swapped components round to use in practice to get the R&D points. I don't even know why I'm doing that. We don't need R&D points anymore at this point in the season. And I forgot to swap them back. I do this every single episode, but I just forgot to do them this time. And it means that we may as well now take a full row of engine components, some fresh components, because I'm not going to be able to qualify even if I change the important components. There won't be enough time. So I bit the bullet, and we've just thought about this tactically. I've tried to turn this horrendous mistake, this one mistake that is a calamity. I'm going to try and turn it into a positive by just getting a fresh engine at Monza. Surely a fresh engine is going to absolutely cook, and we're going to be able to recover from what is going to be the back of the grid. I just spoke about maximizing everything, and what happens? I make one of the biggest blunders you can make in terms of just ruining our chances in quali. But if it had to happen anywhere, I would rather it happen in Italy, where you can make overtakes. We know that DRS, slipstream, it's powerful around here. Always has been on the F1 game. Ollie Behrman P10, so maybe we would have been on the back foot anyway. I don't know. Leclerc looking good in that upgraded McLaren, but let's go to the grid sequence then, and we're going to have to genuinely focus in on the grid sequence to find out how Q2 and Q3 went as we go to the grid.
Welcome to the venue of evocative corner names like Parabolica, which was renamed in 2021 to Curva Alboreto in honour of Italian motorsport legend Michele Alboreto. It's a fitting tribute to him here at Monza, ahead of the Italian Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Piastri, Carlos Sainz and Behrman, Albon, Ocon, Colapinto and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Pepe Marti, Hulkenberg, Paul Aaron, Bortoletto, Hadjar, Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, Stroll, Maloney, Doohan and Tim Tramnitz completes the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me, a real authority on all things motor racing. It's a warm welcome back to Anthony Davidson. Well, this is the most advanced sport anywhere on the planet. How's it changed since you were last racing?
The cars have got bigger, they're heavier, but critically there's more downforce to play with as well now. There was around 4 tons of downforce on the car at 300 kilometers an hour when I drove. You're now looking more towards 5 tons of downforce. So there's a big difference in performance, but because of that, the car being heavier and bigger, you've got to drive in a smoother way. You've got to look after it a bit more. You've got to nurse it through the slow speed corners more. They were much more nimble, agile machines when I drove in Formula 1 compared to now.
The boss wants another podium finish this weekend. I know you're more than capable.
The boss, you say? Is that not me? So you're telling me, Mark, that I've said we need a podium from last place with the car we've had recently. That's not been a podium contender really, and we did very well to be so last episode. Okay, good to know that Mark has lost the plot then, and maybe I have, apparently, in-game as the owner. As we are, stone dead last, 22nd place. It looks very far back from down here as we get going for the formation lap, and strategy-wise, it's going to be up in the air, because usually you'd say Monza nailed on one stop, but obviously the tyre wear with the regulation change we had into this season has been a bit higher and has been very peaky at some places this season. And on the strategy screen, there was a 2-stop as the default. So we're going to have to play it by ear and see how things go. We're on the medium like everyone else. I think the plan would be going to hards, and then we'll see if we need a third tyre at that point later on in the race. But the first part of this is just going to be trying to make up as many positions as we can, as it is Charles Leclerc on pole position as we go to lights out, and we're underway for the Italian Grand Prix. So the McLaren, at least in Leclerc's hands, much improved, not so much for Lance Stroll down in P19, is into turn one. Oh, Zane Maloney has cut across this, and we're on the grass. Oh, it's an absolute disaster. We're already last place. How low? How much further can we go? Oh, Lord. Oh, my life flashed before my eyes there on the grass. I didn't think we were going to slow that down in time, and that could have been devastation of a T-bone and a bit of 10-pin bowling that would have been into turn one as Maloney cut across this quite viciously. I just didn't really expect it, to be honest. Bit of a racing incident, not majorly his fault. It's one of those things where down into turn one at a place like Monza, mistakes are going to happen, and that, you know what that is? That is the cost of being so far back and in the thick of it, basically. As my teammate Ollie Behrman, P6, probably enjoying some more calmer fights as we now try and go around the outside of Stroll. You can see a whole gaggle of cars as it's 3 wide ahead between Albon, Hadjar and Bortoletto. Was that Gasly, Tsunoda ahead? We've just overtaken Stroll. We got Doohan obviously before on the previous lap at the end, and now powering through Tsunoda. Gasly to the right now as there's a lock-up from Albon. We get Hadjar as we're now just cutting through the slower cars like a hot knife through butter, because as you saw on the R&D chart at the start of the episode, these guys, unfortunately for them, they are so much slower than ourselves and the top 5 5 teams on this grid, so there's basically no competition. It's not really much of a hassle, apart from just not wanting to waste too much time making the overtakes every time, or just also keeping our nose clean as these guys are having their own battles. As Hulkenberg goes round the outside, lovely move for Hulk, and we follow him through. Sorry, Antonelli, home favourites. And we absolutely embarrass him through Ascari, but that was actually an insane move for Hulkenberg on the outside, and the Audi running at a very high P12. Surely he's got a nosebleed at this point as we go down the inside at Parabolica to get up into P12, and now there's a little bit of clean air to Liam Lawson, so we got to head down and try and catch up to that next pack. But leading the way then is the much improved McLaren of Charles Leclerc. So if Leclerc was to win this one, this would maybe help persuade him to stay put at the, well, not Papaya team, it's the white and red team at the moment of McLaren. Verstappen second place, Norris third. So again, Norris, Verstappen, very much the two consistent protagonists right up there. But obviously Albon and Ferrari will be hoping they can recover as Behrman makes a fantastic overtake on the outside to get up into P5. So there clearly is some pace in this car if Behrman's making a move for P5. So we're going to try and use that as well. But Monza being Monza, you know, you can always make the repass, slipstreaming every single main straight, and that's what's happening in front of us between Colapinto, Lawson, the two Aston Martin Honda teammates, and Marty in the Haas as we go for the textbook switchback from right to left, you know, on power early, and then we get the run on Colapinto as well as we're gaining. Franco is going to squeeze us towards the grass, and we go for the kamikaze launch down the inside, because I just knew if we did not get that dive bomb done on Marty then and then, we would have lost at least half a second there, you know, passing him through this next section. And every little bit of time is maybe going to matter, because now we've got a big gap, 5.4 to Behrman. So now it's really where we're going to make up time in the clean air. But the tyre wear is pretty damn high, 61% wear on the rear, on the left-hand side especially so. And my team are asking about change of strategy, so surely everyone else may be in the same boat, but I feel right now we just commit to going a little bit longer to go onto the hard tyre, maybe onto the next lap, lap 7, as it's 3 wide between the two Red Bulls and the Merc, and maybe a little bit of carbon fibre off on one of the Red Bull cars. I think there is actually a bit of damage for Piastri there, and it's 3 wide behind between the two Ferraris, and Carlos Sainz, Behrman, annoyingly down to P8, so maybe initially it was looking good, Behrman, but maybe the tyre wear is also affecting him as much as it is me, and maybe he's now slowing up a little bit, so maybe this car really can't do a one-stop around Monza. That's fine. I'm going to say box in this lap. I'll come in because the thinking is the train up ahead of us, they're surely going to lose time with each other if they're fighting. So I actually may as well come in earlier than I maybe planned to try and get the undercut. But, Behrman's come in. I just spotted that on the mini-map and ahead of us. And we just dinked a bit left to continue on because there's no point coming in and double stacking with Behrman because that would have slowed us up more. So it just wasn't worth it. And you know what? That's what we get for being behind and coming from last place. Behrman has the priority as the teammate ahead of us on the road as we continue now on lap 8, looking to come in, but there's a puncher on the rear left. Puncher gate again from Silverstone to Monza, and we're flying towards Parabolica at max speed. We've spun the car, we've kept it up the wall, but it's an absolute calamity. Please don't beach, because I've seen it before. You can actually beach your car in the gravel trap this year on F1 25. Thankfully we've not, but the rear left tyre is mangled and we're driving with one tyre up in the air on the front right. It's a smoke screen and we're into the pits, and all of that progress we made in 7 laps from last place, eroded, gone, niche, done. This really has been a race to forget. Why is this giving me Silverstone vibes? I mean, it's a puncher like in Silverstone. Unlike in Silverstone, though, there's no rain, and I am now on a hard tyre that can go a fair distance, and we do have, we're not a lap down, so there is still something to fight for in this race. And like I always say, guys, in Formula One, never say never. You just never know what can happen. One safety car could help us out here, so we'll continue on. We've got some pace in the tank, so we'll try, but this is a replay. I mean, a very dramatic entry into Parabolica. That's probably one of the worst places to have a puncher. Full speed puncher into a corner that is so quick under normal conditions. That would be horrifying in real life. As we now reset ourselves in this race, and we do it all over again, like from lap 1. We were P20, now P19. We've got 17 laps to go, so there's still plenty of racing to be had. And obviously all these cars, thankfully, are a lot slower than us, so we can at least have some fun making some great overtakes. Down the inside of Bortoletto in the Audi is Max Verstappen setting a fastest lap, but we're coming through with the fastest lap, showing we do have some genuine pace in the tank here. It's just a shame about that tyre blowout. In hindsight now, the double stack would have been worth it, wouldn't it? But you can say a lot in hindsight. I really thought, oh, okay, one more lap, that's fine. Let them in pit. We'll just continue on for one more lap. As we now look to overtake Antonelli for the second time, we've got a Renault in the pits, so up to P14, so making good progress again against all the cars that are slower than us. But then we're going to get to a point where we just hit a bottleneck of how far we can go up the order. We had a chance to break back into the top 10 fights before that puncher, but now it's going to be very slim pickings as we overtake Colapinto up to P11. There's actually maybe points on the cards as we overtake Stroll, who is nowhere near the performance of Leclerc, his teammate, in, well, P4 right now. So actually that's not that great. Leclerc's lost the lead then in the pit stops. Verstappen leads from Norris, Ocon P3, Leclerc, Albon behind, Piastri close as well, as there's a lot of fighting going on. So Leclerc will be a bit frustrated there then, because he's gone from P1 to fighting the Ferraris for the last podium spot, and the two Ferraris swapping positions, Ocon just ahead of Albon, and Behrman fighting back a little bit versus Carlos Sainz. So again, Behrman showing that the car does have good pace when the tyres aren't worn out. You saw Behrman falling away at the end of the first stint. The same for us. Just really unlucky, really unlucky. Our tyre was only at like 76%, by the way, before that puncher happened. So that is just RNG bad luck for the punch happening. And that's the way F1 is. It is a cruel sport as Verstappen leads the way now in a bit of a dominance, 6.2 seconds. The gap is ahead of the next car as yellow flags into turn 1. Oh, the Ferrari's off. Alexander Albon, the nearest man to us in the championship, is in the gravel and the safety car's out. Yes, yes. What did I say? What did I say? One safety car would help us out and bring us back into this race. It is out, it is beautiful, and it's because of our nearest championship rival, Albon, spinning it in front of the adoring Tifosi crowd at turn 1, goes a bit deep, and then just loses the back end into the gravel, and he's stuck there, letting cars by, and that is why the safety car is out, because it's a bit of a precarious, dangerous spot to be parked in there, and thank God. But now we've got a bit of a predicament, because you can see everyone ahead of me is now pitting. We've stayed out. We're going to take the lead of the Italian Grand Prix, not because of a choice I'm making here. I genuinely had no choice but to continue, because I didn't have the tyres. Look at this. All I have is a new soft, and then I've got inters and wets. So I have no medium or no hard to go to, whereas all of these guys seemingly behind me have another hard tyre to go to. So, and the soft tyre can definitely not go to the end. If the medium can't do 7 laps, the soft can't do 10 laps. So we are stuck on the same tyre. Thankfully, there's not too much tyre we're on the hard we're on, and we've got track position. So somehow we've now ended up in a position where we're leading this race legitimately, and we're going to have to try and defend now for 10 laps to see how high we could possibly finish as, oh, It's a bit of a late call there, isn't it? I thought the safety car was going on for another lap because Burt Mylander was speeding through all the way through the midpoint parabolica. So now we've got to prepare ourselves for the restart with a very short run.
Red flag, no overtaking, and let's get back into the pits, please.
Oh, the FIA have done it again. Oh, the FIA have done it again. It's another red flag from a safety car restart. But the FIA just being very overcautious this season. What's going on? We had this in Austria, and we've had it again. Red flag, just as we're about to restart that safety car period. I don't know whether it's to do with Burt Mylander going very, very quickly. He gave us very little run-up to restart that race. So I wonder if that's the reason, because I thought we were going to go for another lap. So that is very confusing. That doesn't really affect anything because I still can't go to a medium or a hard that doesn't exist. I have to just stay on the hard tyre I'm on. I can't go to a soft because even from lap 19, we can't make a soft to the end. So this doesn't change anything apart from maybe this gives our rivals a better chance to jump us off the 5 red lights, or maybe it could give us the chance to jump them. Either way, it's going to be the same thing. We're leading. And now it's a case of, can we somehow, in this amazing position, do anything from here to get a great result? As here we go then to 5 red lights for the second time in this Italian Grand Prix on lap 19. Lights out, and away we go from the red flag period. Verstappen's a bit slow. Norris with a good start. Leclerc as well. We've had a great start as well. And so into turn 1, we're unchallenged, a little bit deep into the first apex. But you know what? It's worked because Norris has tried to follow us through, and he's side by side with Verstappen, so that gave us a little bit of breathing room. But very quickly, we're going to see the Red Bull and the Merc and the McLaren have a lot of serious pace as Verstappen pulls out for the overtake. And I'm saving battery because there's no point trying to convince myself that I can really go toe-to-toe with Max's Red Bull for 8 laps without just draining the battery. So we need to be very clever about this. So we go behind him, DRS now enabled, and that will allow us to hopefully stick with Max. Norris is right up my gearbox as we go on to lap 21. But look at the mini-map. There is a huge gap to Ocon, who has annoyed the hell out of Leclerc. So even though we're down to third, this is kind of where I want to be. If we can just stay in DRS with Norris and Verstappen, if they fight each other enough, I can stick with them then and still be in DRS, save battery, and we are away safe from the group behind that is now broken away with Leclerc. Leclerc has now broken that group, and you can see that orange dot is on his way to us, so this might become a 4-way fight. But it is a fight that we can stay in. We just have to be very clever, and it's why you're seeing I've got over 90% battery now because I'm playing this so carefully with only deploying enough battery to just keep up with these guys on the straights. When I have DRS, that's an aid. And then these guys are going side by side, so that's helping me. And the corners close up as Norris goes for the lead of the race. Yellow flag. Oh, engine failure! Engine failure for Leclerc late on. Oh, it's absolute pain and misery for the reigning champion as we overtook Lando under yellow flag. So we had to give back the position, but we're now going to retake it because now, well, 4 laps to go. Look at the tyre wear that maybe Verstappen is also facing. A 10-second penalty for Carlos Sainz. It's all kicking off, and maybe there is a chance that we fight Verstappen to the very end here, and Norris for the podium positions as we go for the move now with only a couple of laps to go. Maybe this is the time to actually go for that overtaking move for the lead. Verstappen comes back at us. Initially, we're not going to deploy too much battery because I want to save it, but then at the same time, you see a car side by side with you and you want to try and fight them a bit, but Verstappen is going to try his hardest to get first place back, but we get round the outside with plenty of room to give him, and we remain in first, but Verstappen's going to fly by towards Ascari, and now the Ferrari is with us, so we need to be very careful. So on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix. I'm just trying to suss out where's best to go for an overtake attempt, and I think it's here. This is a dress rehearsal. I could have gone for a move here, but this was a rehearsal. Clearly, at that point, if I have enough battery, I can close up and go for a move into Ascari on the Red Bull. Is behind, Ocon has got up to third, so he's taking care of Lando for me. He's going to keep the Mercedes at bay, so it's just Tramnitz ourselves versus Max Verstappen, and we are not going to overtake Max until this rehearsed point on the track. We were within DRS before, but now is the time as we go to the left, to the right now. Verstappen defensive, but we've got the DRS. We've saved so much battery now to defend as we run towards Parabolica. I can't believe I'm saying this, but as we defend Verstappen to the inside with everything we've got, Verstappen on the outside, we come back through. It's a bit of a slip and slide as the oversteer kicks in. I can't believe I'm saying this. We're gonna win. We're gonna win the Italian Grand Prix. Oh my days. From last place. Look, we were on the grass on the run up to turn 1, lap 1. And we just won it. What the hell have we just done?
What an excellent performance this has been from Tim Tramnitz, who takes the checkered flag to win.
I know every race has equal importance in terms of points, but when you get to this partner championship, it's clearly on your mind as you're looking to see how far up the order you can finish. And races like this certainly help that.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
Hey, I just thought, what did Mark say at the start of the race? The owner wanted a podium. He's got a podium. And like I said mid-race, never say never in Formula 1. You don't know what can happen in a full race distance. The safety car came in clutch, and then we came in clutch, thinking very tactically, playing the ERS to our advantage for once compared to the AI. And we've come away with a surprise win. I did not think we were going to win again, ever in this season, because of the way things were going. But that might just be our last race win of the season, and that really solidifies Tramnitz in the championship. That's huge. That could be making this entire championship fight. This one race today, guys, unbelievable. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.